This is the Horse Radio Network.
Hey, you're listening to Adulting with Horses, the best place to be if you can't be at the barn. We are your co-hosts and equine authors, Heather Wallace and Natalie Keller-Reinert. As crazy horse girls, we don't take ourselves too seriously in the saddle or out. We celebrate the things that make us different. Join us as we talk about horses and pop culture and get a little weird in a fun way. Thank you for being a little weird with us.
It's a long way to drive into Ocala to buy hay, but I just love doing it. I drive past Hits. It's super busy right now. There's people hauling horses all over the place. Everyone at the hay store is totally cool. It's just like a pleasure.
So,
It's
like,
one of my little pleasures.
are you so excited for me to come visit? Or is this one of those things where you're like, it'll be fun?
Obviously, I'm very excited. I don't even know what's going to happen, what to expect. It's going to be really something.
It sounds like how I live my life every day. It's just, we're going to go with it. I reached out to our friend Glenn and was basically like, drop everything, I'm coming.
And he saluted.
Well, he goes,
and said, yes,
right
ma'am.
now I have nothing on the calendar, so I know if he ditches me, it's because he found something better to do.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, like when he didn't come to my book signing at Barnes & Noble, and then he posted pictures at some driving thing. Come on, man.
My God.
I need support.
I think we should be offended. Like, maybe we should be offended, like, in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Just in case.
I'm already annoyed.
I'm already annoyed at him.
Yeah.
Because I just know
Yeah.
he's going to ditch us.
God, I'm so pissed. This guy, it's the same every time.
He's just too cool. He's a
Typical man.
celebrity. So,
Oh, yeah, Mr. I host every podcast convention on the planet. That guy. Mr. Grandfather of the business. Yeah, I said grand. Yeah, I said it.
Ooh, throwing down the gauntlet.
That's
You're like
how I know.
smacking him in the face with a horse glove.
I'm bad at apologies, so if this all goes the wrong way, I apologize in advance.
So
I won't be big enough to apologize
I think
later.
yeah.
So I'm mad and I'm apologizing.
I'm going to try not to get my hopes up. But, we'll see. I do have his address, so we could always play a prank.
Oh, we could put some of those creepy gods that were in his backyard when he bought the place. We could put some back.
Ooh.
Like the return of the gods. Like he had like cupids or something all over his
Yeah.
house. We could like return those.
Yeah.
We could go to a lawn place and buy a bunch of saints.
Well, what he's really afraid of, and now for anybody who's listening, we're talking about Glenn Hebert, who is the co-host of Horses in the Morning, and the super villain behind the Horse Radio Network. Did I say villain? I meant the hero behind the Horse Radio Network, and he's a super cool dude. He's terrified of snakes, so we'll keep that in our back pocket. Because I love snakes.
I can acquire snakes. I've got snakes.
Yeah. I feel like Glenn knows I'm coming to Ocala. He has been asked to hang out. I even offered to take them to dinner, him and Jennifer. And so if something suddenly comes up, I feel like we need to have something in our back pocket to make him regret that decision. This isn't really helping us at all get him to hang out, is it?
Well, besides just missing out on our sparkling, entertaining company, like, we're super fun.
So fun.
You're fun, and I'm super. And together, we're super fun.
Hashtag super fun.
It's 2 words.
Because
I'm not fun in person, but I will stand behind you and make snippy comments.
That's hilarious.
And,
I think that's incredibly super fun. Do we need t-shirts?
Oh,
Yours says super and mine says fun, and together we make super fun.
Oh.
Because I'll get them for us.
How would we? Yeah. If only just to wear to a book event with Jean from Taberton Equine Books, so that she can be like, oh dear God, what are you doing now?
You know what I'm always amazed by? The fact that Glenn and Jean and all these other people, like, actually want to be around us. Like, sometimes I'm really like, wow, okay. Like, they're really super sweet because I don't know if I could handle me.
Yeah, and I definitely like I will attach myself to somebody because I'm so like introverted that I don't really want to speak to anyone. So if I do develop a relationship, even if it's a very general working relationship, I will like glom onto them and be like, I know you. I can talk to you. And I'll be like attached to your shoulder. And I'll decide that we're best friends and I should tell you all kinds of secrets and judgmental things. And
I'm sorry, is
you're
that
just like, oh,
isn't that how we became friends?
no. That's all I've got. That's my move.
That is your move. That's your signature move.
That is my move.
Well,
I attach myself to somebody who will open up like doors for me in a metaphorical sense. You don't have to physically open, but I'll be like, well, that person seems okay with talking to others. Maybe they can do the talking for me. And I'll just whisper in their ear. And that's pretty much what we do.
I feel used and complimented at the same time.
Well, because it wasn't, I didn't like choose to do it. I just realized I was at a clinic the other night. I was at an awesome clinic with Shauna Karash, who's
love her.
You know, the, oh my God, you introduced me to her. Another instance of Heather takes Natalie around and brings her to interesting people. And then she like whispers a few things.
I was a little jealous when you went without me, but mostly because I love to watch her work.
Yeah, and it was 3 hours. Like, she was incredibly generous with her time. It was unbelievable. Such a great clinic. It was positive reinforcement for those who aren't sure who she is. So like R plus training, using a clicker, using classic conditioning techniques, and a lot of things clicked for me that I had totally had not gotten before. I mean, it was inevitable. So I learned so much. But when I was there, I texted somebody that I knew was there, and it was Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa, in the group. And Alyssa's another one of these amazing people that she'll say anything to anybody. She like just can talk to people. And
it is a gift.
While she was forcibly throwing me in front of Shauna's partner, Jessie, so that I would speak to her, a person whom I have spoken to in the past, mind you, but sometimes that's almost worse for me because then I'm like, I don't know if you remember me and you totally shouldn't.
And Jessie's kind of quiet also.
But, yeah, I definitely got that vibe. So when we did start talking, it was like, it just kind of trailed off and I said, thanks so much. You know, like I get it. But I thought, oh my God, all of my friends are like these amazing extroverts who do hard work for me. Am I doing this? This is a trait. I had a personal therapy breakthrough where I realized.
Well, I think we're drawn. I think a lot of times we're drawn to, whoops, I'm making weird noises because I'm talking with my hands. I'm like throwing a fit back here. I think we're drawn to people who balance us, right? I mean, if we're talking like obviously if we had two people like me in a friend group, we would need a buffer or we would literally be the most annoying people in the world. So you almost need someone who does balance you out. My husband balances me out. You balance me out. I think that's why you and I do so well together. But I think
it would be very competitive if you were with somebody else like yourself. And it would be very lackluster.
Boring.
If it were just me. Yeah, we just kind of, because I'm like, why don't I hang out with super quiet people? Like, because I would never speak to them. It would never, our relationship has no chance to even exist. My husband and I are super quiet, but we met when we were much younger and made more noise, I guess.
Well, also too, you've been in a relationship with him for decades, so you guys have a way of interacting that is comfortable, and it's not necessarily quiet, right? Sometimes it's just comfortable. So You
Yeah.
have another language almost.
It's definitely like, hey, did you? Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's a conversation. I don't know how that works.
Well, it's funny because my husband he works in the financial world, and he has to meet a lot of different people, and he brokers a lot of deals, and there's always this stuff going on. But he is the worst when it comes to remembering people's names. And he could tell you literal stories of people that he's known, growing up that I can't remember the names of people I went to high school with half the time. But people he does business with currently, we're at a wedding and they're out of context. So he goes, I cannot remember this guy's wife's name, blah, 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 whatever. So we have the shorthand, right? Where if he says, oh, have you met my wife? I step up and introduce myself and say, hi, my name's Heather. What's your name? And I kind of know, so he doesn't get awkward, that I'm just supposed to volunteer and ask them to like extricate that information. So,
yeah.
and he does it for me too, because there's been times where people have come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I met you so-and-so. And I just might blank because you know me, I'm so focused on the moment. Half the time I'm running from one place to the other. I'm just like, wait, what? What's happening? We're talking? Do we know each other? What? So he helps me with that too.
Well, I walked in to this clinic from the parking area with a woman that I pulled up next to. Like, we parked next to each other. And she got out of her truck and I got out of my car. And she said, do you think we need chairs? And I said, I don't know. I didn't bring one. I don't bring chairs. And she's like, well, I have two if you want one. I'm like, no, I'm going to stand because like I've been sitting at my desk all day. And we just started talking naturally like that. And we walked in together. And then my friend Alyssa comes up and she says, oh yeah, you guys met at the horse show last year that we went to. And I was like, what? Neither of us had any memory of this occurring. She's like, yeah, you were both there. We had this horse there and that, and we did the driving and you talked. Okay. I guess. No idea. So we met again and I vowed never to forget her. So hopefully that works out.
Yeah, I'm better with faces than I am names and context, right? Because I can remember a face.
I don't know if I'm good with faces at all. There were people there that I thought, I know that person, but I couldn't even convince myself that I actually knew them or they just had a familiar look to them. I don't really trust my intuition at all. So I think
this is a good note for anybody listening that like if you ever meet us in person, please just be like, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so. I listened to you on the podcast, or I met you at this book signing." And it's not that we're being rude. It's just that we are literally like in our own little worlds half the time, writing or working, and we just forget the context of how we met.
Yeah, it's totally nothing personal. I just don't remember anyone ever. And if some people will read a book, like somebody will read the first draft of my book and they'll say like, oh, well, I'm having a hard time picturing such and such. Well, like, what is she like? And I'm like, she can be whatever you want her to be like. Cause I have a type in my head, but people's faces, stuff like that. A lot of times hair will come into my head when I'm writing something, but like I have no sort of, the person had blue eyes, and I'll try to add that sort of context and texture because it's expected, but I don't care.
You're leaving it up to
like,
the imagination.
She had high cheekbones. Yeah, like just imagine. Okay, it's a person. So if you can think of what a person is, then put her in riding breeches, and that's the character. And let's leave it at that.
Choose your own adventure.
That's how much I think about what people look like. Yeah. I don't see any problem with that. Why is it my job to describe someone's physical features? Have at it. Make it yourself.
Wait,
you're the person.
Well, that's it. I was actually talking to somebody. My daughter brought somebody up to our cabin over the weekend, and she's not a reader. Like, my daughter's a good reader. This girl does not like books. And she was asking why I like books. And I said, listen, movies are awesome, but they don't take any thought, right? I just they turn them on. I kind of watch. That's great. But a book is a movie that I direct, cast, and create myself, because the plot's there, but I get to make it all up in my head of what I envision it to be, my own little world that's within that book that the author kind of provides the skeleton for. And I said, so my reading of the book is going to be different than your reading of the book. and our movies are going to look different, like, right, quote unquote. And that's how I think of it. So I guess a faceless character is not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm doing okay, right?
Yeah.
I've got 25 odd books and a lot of readers. So far, so good. And like I said, I put in a little bit of texture. I think most of my early characters are just, dirty blonde horse girls, because
You're a dirty blonde
I'm
horse
a dirty
girl.
blonde horse girl. I'm a dirty blonde horse
I
girl.
know.
And then some of them later have like darker hair because I don't know. I thought I wrote a lot of blondes, so maybe I should have some dark hair. That's pretty much as far as it goes.
I love it. Well, it's funny. So I'm writing the Backdoor Horse now, which is my first fiction. And
Backdoor horse update. Backdoor horse update. Sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
it's okay. I got excited too. I'm like jamming in the background, and I'm pumping myself up. And my main character is kind of, because again, it's my first fiction that I'm going to be publishing. My character is kind of physically the epitome of what I could be if I tried. Like she's cute and curvy, but like in a fit way. And, she's got great auburn hair, which I always wanted auburn hair, and so it's kind of like she's loosely based on a portion, I guess, of my personality, right? Because I think a lot of our characters tend to have some traits that are similar to us. But yeah, I think some of the other characters, though, they just completely came out of my imagination, and I'm loving it. It's fun.
Making stuff up is the best. All the stuff you got in trouble for, like, did you ever tell your parents really elaborate stories that were in no way the truth?
Well,
I did.
I've been known for hyperbole. I've been known for that.
Yeah, there's that.
I've also been known to go on way too long when I tell a story. So my kids do the same thing. And my husband, you could see that light go out of his eyes and it goes, "Oh, you got that from your mom." And I'm like, "Sorry. Facts only, mister. Sorry."
That's really funny. My dad and his dad would both tell stories very slowly and add so much context. And I will just sit there and just listen. Like, "Oh, wait, you want to go? Let's go down this tangent. Yes, I want to know all of that. Yes." And my mom and other members of my family are like, "This is taking so long." And I'm like, "Oh, we're talking about airplanes now? I know the story started out about a donkey, but now let's examine the history of these airplanes." We'll get back to the donkey. I love tangents.
My sister-in-law is like known for that, and she's got ADHD, but it's very severe. And so she'll be talking to me, and we'll talk, and we'll end up at 3 subjects later, and she'll be like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Wait, no, I'm totally with you," because I do the same thing when my husband tells a story. I, in my head, have already finished the story, and I'm on to the next subject, right? So my brain works fast. So I like listening to a story, but I definitely try to come to the ending pretty quickly. So I like stories that take a lot of turns.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like about when I write in fiction now. A lot of times, if I'm not really sure what's going to happen, I'll go, "What's the worst thing that could happen?" And I'll do that. And it has, twofold. It makes me go, "Oh, I need to go outside and think about this for a while." So I get up, and then the reader is up all night because they can't believe I just did
Thanks
that.
for stressing us out.
So I just call that it's called throwing a grenade. It's my my new writing technique. I started it last year. I don't know what to do. I'm throwing a grenade and I'm leaving.
Yeah, see what happens. Someone's got to pick up the mess, right? Well,
Me the next day.
I think to turn it around and talk about horses, I've had a couple grenades thrown at me this week that are a continuation of our previous conversations. And I wanted to see how you and Ben were doing also, and get a little horse checkup. Because remember that story I told you about how Delight was like acting a fool and my trainer was going to ride him?
Yes, I do. He was, as I recall, a full-blown maniac. And you had to dismount because he was being a full-blown maniac. And it was like, what's up with my perfect horse being a full-blown maniac? Yeah. Right? Is that a good catch?
That's a good,
yeah.
I mean.
So you were going to torture your trainer because trainers take our money and say, I'm a professional rider. So you say, ride that for me.
Here you go.
Cool.
Well, and she's the one who like trained him off the track, so she knows all of his buttons. So I knew that she would be able to fine tune and pinpoint exactly what was going on. I think we need a minute to laugh at me in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to set the stage, and then you're all going to laugh at me and tell me I'm an idiot. Okay, because as you know, one of the things I do, I do body work. So I'm very tied in physically to the horse, but also I do saddle fit evaluations, right? So remember I brought this new saddle in, and that was our first ride in the new saddle.
The saddle that you like spent your entire life saving.
Correct. I'm now broke and will be for a while.
Perfect.
So I like had a panic thinking it was the saddle, right? And then when I noticed the pad was sliding back during the lunging process, I said, okay, it's probably that. And it was partially that. So when my trainer went to go ride him the next day, she went to go tack him up, and she pulls me to the side and she goes, Heather, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And she looks at my saddle sitting on the saddle stand, and she goes, well, one of these things is not like the other. And I'm looking at it and I cannot figure out what is wrong. Okay, because apparently my brain is mush right now. The left stirrup and leather is perfect. The right stirrup leather is underneath the panel. It's under the panel.
Oh.
So it's not sitting where it's supposed to. It's attached and sitting underneath a panel, and it's now moving against his body. Right?
Oh my God.
So not only did I tack him up, not notice, but I also rode him like that, and with my leg in the stirrup, not noticing. Then I lunged him, didn't notice. And all the while my horse is yelling at me because something's wrong. And I'm just like, la, 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 like a fucking idiot.
Oh my goodness.
Do you know how dangerous that could have been?
I don't, but because I actually have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds really bad, and also like, yeah, you probably should have noticed that.
I'm gonna take a picture because I literally started cry laughing at how stupid I was. Like my trainer was like, yeah, I told you about it yesterday when you were on the horse. And I was like, you did? Like, what? Apparently I was so in the zone that like nothing else mattered.
You were in the zone of riding your Bronco, and your trainer's like, the problem is you.
What headspace do you have to be in to not notice a serious tack malfunction, ride like that, and then say, I wonder if something's wrong with my horse? Like, somebody fucking slap me.
You know what, though? You've had a very stressful winter. I'm going to be the voice of forgiveness. I'm your conscience, and your conscience saying, Heather, you had the dog thing. You were traveling like crazy. You have holiday madness, and all you wanted to do was ride in your new saddle and veg out, and you were not provided the right position in your brain. Your brain was not on track.
You know, I mean, the fact that he didn't launch me is my fault. Now, to be fair, there was some things that, he was getting stuck going forward and things like that. But like, my fault. I mean, 100% my fault.
I mean, I could have used more leg, obviously.
Well, and for him too. So my trainer did give me good notes about the leg. And like, you can't do the kick. You have to do like almost like you have a spur on and like lift your heel a little bit. And then you have to open your rein to give him a place to go because he gets stuck in the shoulder, right? So there was actually an article in Horse Nation that just came out about that. Like how you have to give your thoroughbred a window or a door.
Yes. Yeah, it's coming back to me. I think I've written about that. I swear to God, the things that are not in my brain. That's why I ride like that, because I rode thoroughbreds for so long. Because I read something last week about, I think it might have been literally like the lead in to an Instagram video that I did not watch. And it said something about lifting your rein in the turn. And I went, huh, And then I went out and I got on Ben and I lifted my rein instead of opening my rein. And he liked it. And I said, huh, how about that? Why do I ride with my rein so open? Omitting my decades of experience with thoroughbreds on and off the track and just going with my immediate circumstances, messing around with a quarter horse. The window, that's important. Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and I usually don't ride him with a lot of rain anyway, but I was like, oh, I forgot about that because I haven't been riding him regularly, obviously, for various reasons. But like the last time I rode him regularly, he was like 6 years old or 7 years old. Like this is years ago. So I forgot how to ride him specifically because I was so used to riding the pony who has to be ridden in a completely different way. And I was like, wow, okay. So I thought you'd appreciate like the moment of self-realization that I'm the problem. I'm the problem.
Did you share the video that said that horse girls were all Taylor Swift fans?
I did.
This is all seeming to come full circle.
Yeah. I was alluding to that in our clubhouse. Yes, I'm the problem.
I like to think of Ted Danson in The Good Place saying, the problem is me. That's how I approach everything that I do. I am Ted Danson. I am the problem.
I love Kristen Bell in The Good Place, by the way. She is like one of my favorites. She's just so cute and funny.
She's amazing. Everything.
There's nothing like, I feel like she and I would be really good friends in real life. Like,
I remember what she said in Parks and Rec. Never kick a dressage horse for a failed pas de deux.
I mean, words to live by, Natalie.
Right? You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't think I've seen that episode, but I know Parks and Rec is like your nighttime jam.
That's like my
life. Mine's The Office.
Like Parks and Rec. Yeah. I have been watching The Office again recently. I love The Office, but Parks and Rec is my like life.
I need to rewatch that because I don't really feel like I made it through all of the seasons. I love the show, but I'm like a Schitt's Creek Office kind of girl, so I need to get back. I do. Amy Poehler is a queen.
Yes.
Well, how's your writing been recently? Because we know I'm a mess.
It's been infrequent but fun and productive. So infrequent because like there's just been, it always seems like there's something going on or the weather is not cooperating. Those are my two things. I did ride on a really windy day 2 weeks ago and I super regretted it. It was not productive. I rode for like 5 minutes just to prove, like even grooming him. He was like, blah, 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 blah. I said, all right, now I got to get on you. I got on. It took me forever just to get on him. I walked him for 5 minutes. I said, we're done. We're done here. So I was in the process of getting some stuff together. I got him a new bit. I got his teeth done, that whole thing. And then my farrier she kind of ghosted me, but I think she'll be back. But it's just when you fall off somebody's schedule, and she had like an accident. And so she had to change her schedule. And so I'm pretty sure in like 5 weeks I'll hear from her. But his feet were getting too wide for his hoof boots. So I was like, oh, man, I can either try to find a new farrier, which sounds horrendous, or I can see if I'm strong enough to trim. Because I know how to trim, but it takes a lot of upper body strength. And when I tried to do it last summer, I didn't have it. But I've been doing so much outdoor work over the winter that I said, maybe I can do this. Turns out I can. I trimmed his little front feet up beautifully, and they fit in his boots again. And then we had a couple really productive rides. So, and we started cantering again.
Good for you.
Which is, he takes a lot of balancing to canter. So I tend to leave it out unless I feel like we're in a really good place. Like right now, because he just hasn't been in shape for like ever. Yeah, so we added canter work. We've been doing a little bit of poles with like natural obstacles. Obviously, I have a lot of natural obstacles because I live in the woods. And and I took his noseband off.
Oh, I bet he loved that.
He has been great. Like last year I took off the flash, and then this year I was like, at some point I was leaving the noseband on the loosest hole, and I was only using it really as a crutch, like, because he's still he's not, 100% back to the horse he used to be. So he still gapes his mouth sometimes or crosses his jaw and fights with me. And I was like, what really is the worst thing that's going to happen? So he took the new bit really happily, didn't argue with me about the new bit. So I knew that that was a plus, plus, plus. And as soon as I touched the noseband, he threw his head. And I said, I couldn't be more obvious. It's the noseband. He wants rid of it. So I just undid the buckle and pulled it right out of the crown piece, threw it in my grooming bag. And he went great. He went great. He doesn't need it. Did he open his mouth some? Yes. Did he cross his jaw some? Yes. But who cares, man? Like, he's comfortable. He was just doing it because he was like, well, I want to keep going fast. I'm like, well, no, because you're very out of shape and you will twist your little leg and hurt yourself. But you know how it is. So that, I mean, my Ben update is I don't ride much, but when I do, I feel like that they're really productive rides because we got the mouth straight. We got the feet straight. He's happy in the saddle we're going in. Everything is working out beautifully.
Oh my gosh.
End of
That's
update.
so awesome. And you're listening to your horse. Like, you guys are talking to each other and you're building that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, Ben and I have, that's what it's always been focused on, just like, let's go as slow as molasses and just build on what we know together. And so it's always been a really, really good partnership. And I just felt like there were some, you know, there was some physical things that just weren't getting addressed. And now I feel like everything is really on track.
Oh, that's awesome. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. We don't want to mess that up. Yeah. Yeah. For real.
This is probably wood. It's from IKEA.
Wood laminate. It's
So,
fine.
yeah. Yeah.
No, but that's good. I think.
But of course I'm going to be,
Yeah. What were you saying?
I mean, it's winter, so it's the right time to ride, but then you get these cold snaps where they go bananas. And then I have a lot of traveling coming up.
I know,
So,
you
ha ha
bitch.
ha.
You brat.
I have so much traveling. You have some too. So.
I do, but I've done the opposite of what you're doing, which is I'm last year was ridiculous. I spent a lot of money and I did a lot of travel and I did a lot of events. And this year I'm taking the opposite tact where I'm really kind of limiting what I'm doing and trying to spread it out as much as possible so I don't get so overwhelmed because, you know, the writing takes a toll and the appointments for the bodywork takes a toll. And I don't want to get back to having a long wait list for clients.
Yeah.
So, because in December I had to shut down my new client list and like not accept new clients. So that's back open and everybody's back in a rotation. But yeah, so I'm doing the opposite. But I'm excited to come see you. I'm excited to get into trouble. You know. And maybe play some pranks on Glenn. But yeah, what I'm really excited about is actually spending some weekends at home to spend with my horses. So I want to kind of do what you're doing, and just, you know me, I'm the slow, steady girl too when it comes to the horses. Everything else in life, I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know, rip the Band-Aid off, let's do it. But with the horses, I'm not in a rush. I got nothing to prove or work towards. So
You know, that was when we were talking with, when we were at the Shauna Karish clinic, and she was talking with, or about her partnership with Jesse. I'm sorry, Jesse, I forgot your last name. Jesse they were talking about showing horses and using these training techniques with conditioning in order to get them into the show ring, and it just taking a little longer and just allowing yourself that time to get everything right, like to stop rushing. And she gave an example of a horse who had been rushed into the show ring because she was such a nice horse. And in being so excited about how nice this horse was and how many ribbons this horse could win, the horse's personality was wrecked.
is this the mare?
And it took,
Yeah. Okay.
yes, the little mare, she called her. And you know, it's just such a wake-up call that the horse doesn't care, and the horse isn't going to stand up to what it takes to get to the ring fast and win fast. That's not what they're designed for. They're designed to walk around very slowly.
I mean, that's how I got
Eat
delayed.
grass.
It was that exact reasoning. That was exactly why. Because
Rushed until their brain
they tried to,
breaks.
yeah, they almost broke him. And it wasn't that they did it on purpose. There was nothing malicious about it. It was just this performance horse mindset where,
Right.
well, this is what we do. We don't stall them. I mean, we stall them. We don't let them go out with other horses, and they have to be ridden X amount of days, X amount of time, over X amount of fences, and that just doesn't work for most horses.
Yeah.
So,
It's learning. I learned to train like that because I rode in show barns and I worked for, successful trainers and things like that. And I learned how to produce a horse. And I feel like I'm learning a new language. And I find that's a little anxiety inducing because this is something that I know deep in my bones, how to produce a horse. It's not something that I can always even express because I absorb things and they become like layers of my personality. So I can do things without always explaining why I'm doing them. I just know. And this is not like that. Learning how to use positive reinforcement and conditioning. Like, oh, shoot. It's not that everything I know is wrong, but a lot of it is. And I have to relearn how to approach these things. It can be an overwhelming feeling.
yeah.
It's definitely like learning a new language.
Well,
Yeah.
it is. And it's funny because for me, the realization was when I first started looking into this and learning about it was that, oh my gosh, no, I've been conditioning my horses, my dogs, etc. It's just not the right way. Or I've been creating these behaviors or I've been creating these situations because I either didn't catch it early or I accidentally reinforced it when I didn't realize I was reinforcing it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of, again, am I the problem? And the answer is
Exactly.
yes. Yes, I think as equestrians, like when we realize that we are the problem and then make attempts to learn a new way honestly, it's been really eye-opening for me. So I've seen Shauna a couple of times and her partner Jessie, breeds warm bloods and they're generally hunters. They're gorgeous. And smart and beautiful horses. It's nice to start to see the shift from performance-based to horse-based performance, right? Where like you're actually going to strengthen them long term and you're going to make a better performance horse who can mentally and physically handle the load. It's just going to take a little bit extra time to get there. And I really hope that that's the future because I feel like they'll break less, like physically and mentally.
Yeah. Those were there were two pieces that really came together for me that hadn't registered before. And one was the concept of the click or whatever reinforcement noise you use as the bridge signal, where it makes the horse go, this is the moment that I'm being rewarded for, even if you reward them later.
Correct.
Like if you're riding, if you come down to a halt and then you reward them, the reward is connected to the click. And I said, oh, I get that. That makes sense. And the second thing was the conditioning piece, the classic Pavlov's dog conditioning piece, which is that the horse stops working for getting a treat and the horse is now working for the happy hormones that came from getting those treats. And now the horse is saying, when I do a great job with my mom, I feel so good. And I went, oh, now I really get it. Like, that's what we're going for. We're going for a horse. Like, Ben is standing at the back gate right now waiting for me.
Aww.
I don't know if it's because he really just adores me or if he thinks riding is fun or what, but now maybe I'll be able to figure it out because he's been waiting for me like all day and I've been in and out. And he's like, Mom, 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 Mom.
But that's sweet. I mean, like the goal
So
is for them to want to be near you. The goal is for them to want to be ridden. The goal is for them to want to, have you as part of their herd, right? I mean, and the treats are only a way to get there. They're not the focus. A lot of people are like, oh, my horse will get fat or they'll become mouthy or whatever. And there's things in place that if you do it correctly, that doesn't happen. And I've definitely seen instances of this. Both my horses are nightmares when they see that I have my fanny pack on. But guess what?
Right.
They don't mug me for treats ever. But they know when I have my fanny pack on that we're going to play for the treats and we're going to play a game. And that's what they look forward to is the game, which I haven't done in a while and I should because I feel like my focus has definitely been on getting Delight under saddle and getting Ferris back in shape. So I think we need a good play date this weekend.
Yeah. Now that those concepts finally have like solidified in my brain, I'm really going to start working on those game sessions, which, you know, can be a few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I bought a clicker because I was trying to just come up with a sound or something that worked, and I'm just not consistent enough. I'm very inconsistent with the noises that I make. Is something that I found. I make a lot of noises. And sometimes I'm singing. Like the other day I was riding and I was like, I want to listen to Death Cab for Cutie while I ride. So I was singing because Ben likes it when I sing while I ride. So I'm just like singing indie rock. And I'm thinking, I have to have a clicker because something has to differentiate from the constant buzz of noise coming out of my mouth while I'm riding.
Well, yeah, and horses are so sound oriented. And it was funny because when Robin was riding Delight and she turned to me and she goes, you know, I'm not a fan of you making all the sounds and like egging them on with the clucks and the clicks and the kisses and all that. And I said, I know, because I'm terrible at that. I'm always like, good boy, little more, trot, click, kiss. You know, I'm very vocal, right? Obviously, I have an issue. But they're so used to that too. And they're both voice command. So she was like, it is easier and more clear if you cluck and then ask, because then, you know, he feels he knows he's going to go for, like for us, kiss is change tempo, right? Like kiss is
right.
to go up in tempo, up in gait. And for the cluck is just keep going, like rate your speed kind of thing. So my horses need a lot of reassurance. And I think it's good that they have me because since I'm so vocal, I could give that to them.
Yeah. Do you know the like distraction / focus on me sound? Have you ever tried this? A dressage trainer taught this to me many years ago, and then I've heard other people do it and been like, oh my God, that's the sound. Where it's this crazy sound you make with your lips and it brings back horses that are like looking at something else. They're like, what's over there? What's over there? And you make this sound and it brings their ears back to you. I'm going to back up from my mic a little bit. But it's did that register? You go like that while you're riding, and the horse is like, what? Oh my God. That their focus comes back to you. So like if there's like a deer, let's say, like crossing near the arena in your forest that you ride in, and the horse zeroes in on the deer and they're totally not focused on you, even if you're like trotting or cantering, you can make that noise and their ears will come right back to you. Yes, I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
No, that's good. I'll add that to my repertoire.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And eventually you will hear someone else do it and be like, Natalie did not make that up. Because I totally have heard people at shows do it.
I've done it for photography when I'm doing photo sessions. I've done that to get their ears up. I'm literally just thinking out loud here that I'm going to be filming, you know, when I go to Iceland, I'll be having a GoPro. I can only imagine the sounds that will be coming out of my mouth the whole time. And I can't voice over it because I think people need to see the level of crazy that I am when I talk to my horses the entire time.
That would be hilarious. We should have a contest for like the most ridiculous in saddle commentary. Everybody just get on your horse, turn on your video, let it run, and then upload 20 seconds of you just chattering to your horse or making weird noises.
Oh my God.
While you ride.
Yes. Yes, because I know I'm not the only one. And I know for you do that too, even though you're not a big talker, so you say.
Well, I talk to myself when I'm alone. And so I talk a lot while I'm out with the horses. Even if I'm listening to something and somebody says something I agree with, I'll be like, that's a really good point. Like out loud. Like I talk to myself constantly when I'm alone.
Yeah.
So
I do that. My internal monologue comes out when I have listening ears. And my horses do listen to me.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, whether they tune me out or not is another question. So
I think it's nice for them.
I think
They're like, oh, the chatty human is here. Like, we like it when animals make noises. You know, like you go to a dolphin thing and you're like, oh my God, the dolphins are talking. You wouldn't like it as much if they weren't talking. I think the horses feel that way about us. They're like, oh, the people are talking.
Do you think they think that we're
So
their
cute.
pets?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, because yesterday, the Amazon guy got stuck in my driveway. And so I was talking to him while he was waiting for somebody to come and get him out. And he was like, so are those your horses back there? And I said, yeah. And he's like, what are horses like? And I said, they're kind of like very aloof dogs where they like you, but they're not super concerned about you. Like, they're going to leave you alone if they have something better to do than talk to you, unless you have food. And he's like, huh. Like, they're kind of alien, you know, like they're like doing their own thing. And the people are here. Let's see what the people want. Do we care? We don't care. And they go back to whatever they were doing.
That sounds,
love
yes, that
that.
sounds realistic to me.
Yeah. Like I think maybe they're a higher form of consciousness where they only pay attention to what they need to.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. I often say that they're better than us in a lot of ways. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, the other day I went in and just hung out in the paddock, and neither horse really cared about me for a hot minute. And then eventually when the hay got low, they were like, oh, we'll come over and inspect you. Let's see, what do you have going on today? What do you want to tell us? And then I didn't have anything interesting to say, so they left.
Yeah.
You know.
They love watching us if we're clearing, like we'll rope off an area and clear like vines and stuff out of the ground. And they love to come over and watch that. They're just hang. What are we doing? If we do it in a field that they're in, they're on top of us. What are we shoveling out now? Is that edible? Should I eat that? What if I just rest my chin on your shoulder? Can you still work if I rest my, like they're just experimenting with us to see what we'll tolerate.
We're their entertainment. I love it. Well, and that does happen. Sometimes
it's
I'll be
true.
riding and then the horses in the paddocks will all be watching. It's like, oh God, are they judging my equitation?
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, they've got nothing else to do. They're like, ugh, bored. Like, I don't have road frontage. I don't have any cars going by. So they're going, what are we doing, man? Look at the birds. No, there's a person. People are weird. Let's watch them.
the other day, oh God. So we have, I don't know if I've told you this before, but where our barn is, I love it. It's 12 acres or 14 acres, and it's like tucked away in this little, it's wooded on all sides, and it's like stepping into a little fairy tale world. But we're abutting a naval base that's like a weapons station.
Yeah.
So periodically,
That's something.
they'll have bomb testing, or like they'll be, going off and doing sniper things in the woods or a shooting range or whatever. So like a helicopter might come over every once in a while and fly pretty low. So we always have, the unexpected. So the horses are pretty bomb proof at this point. But the other day I was riding Ferris and he was really uppity for him. Like, that moment when you get them and you're like, ooh, this could be a real bad idea. And then you're like, I'm just going to get on. And you're like, nope, red flag, red flag, red flag. I'm just going to, okay, we're going to make this a short ride, like you said with Ben the other day. And while I was riding him in the 15 minutes I was on, there was a helicopter. There was 2 horses acting like dragons over a fence, like making that dinosaur sound, that they make.
Yes.
And he kept looking to see what was going on in the barn. And then the guys came to do the manure removal. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to get off. Like, we're just going to stop.
It's like Richard Scarry's busy barn.
Yeah. And it's not normally like that, especially when I ride during the day. But for whatever reason, I already had like a hot horse. And then I had all that and was like, I feel like this is going to go bad like any second. So I'm going to just, call it right now.
Yeah.
And I did. I'm alive.
That was very much. We were close where Ben used to live in Apopka, which is near Orlando. He was actually really close to a small civil, airport. Excuse me, just lost my ability to speak. And we would get these weird low flying, they're not ultralights. I forget what it's called when it's basically a one-man airboat flying over you. You know, it's a parachute and it's an engine and it's a guy like hanging off a bicycle seat. I can't think of what it's called right now. But they would fly over the farm while I was riding. I'm like, for real, dude? Like, it sounds like an airboat is flying over your head. And they're like, I don't know, 100 feet up. So he got really good with low flying aviation, which is great because every now and then we do get a crop duster will go by. Because actually that's a thing in like Williston, which is the town south of us and where it hits is they have a lot of crop dusters out there because they have peanut farms and the peanuts are really like intensive. They need to be, I don't know what they're doing, but they need a lot of crop dusting and those planes fly low. And then we get USDA planes flying looking for, I don't know, a pot, I guess. Remember when we were recording last year and I was like, there's an airplane flying next to my house, like 10 feet off the ground. That was a USDA plane looking for something illegal. And then every now and then we get black helicopters and I don't know where the black helicopters are going or what they're for. Very disturbing.
Thank you for being a little weird with us, Horse Girl. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your player of choice. Follow us on Instagram at Adulting with Horses Podcast, or even better, join our Adulting with Horses Clubhouse on Facebook, where you can become part of the show. Also, it's a great place to meet other horse crazy women.